1962. France. Which new wave classic could this be? Or perhaps is this one of the more subversive left bank pieces? Neither. This is pure establishment contra-reformatio. Establishment director Henri Verneuil directs institutional favourite Jean Gabin alongside the charming vanguard Jean-Paul Belmondo. Together, the two players bond over their invasive alcoholism. I don't want to read out a plot synopsis of this film. The backstories of the two men are well and truly illustrated. What is far more important is their eventual, inevitable chemistry. Two generations of French film stars frolic about the screen amidst the subtext of waning machismo. Such characters find themselves, to the horror of women, Gabin's character's wife for example, reminiscing about the days of empire and war, or the glories of life before marriage and or children. Who the hell is this director, you might have asked? Not a recognisable name amongst 1960s French film directors, or French directors in general. Henri Verneuil was a mainstream confectioner, crafting career boosters for Fernandel. Fernandel was an extremely famous French actor and singer, for those who don't know, Zsa Gabor, and the aforementioned Jean Gabin. Beginning his career in the 1950s, he spent the 1960s keeping Jean-Paul Belmondo busy outside of the perhaps less profitable art houses, and in the 70s kept Belmondo eating in general, it seems. I find an obituary written in The Guardian by one Ronald Bergen in 2002 upon Verneuil's passing beautifully reads, "For exactly 40 years, the prolific Verneuil made movies as mainstream and commercial as any to be found in America or Britain. In his best period, for 1950s and 1960s, he delivered films in the tradition of quality so despised by the Nouvelle Vague. Many of them proved excellent vehicles for old-timers as Jean Gabin and Fernandel, and newcomers such as Jean-Paul Belmondo and Alain Delon." Verneuil's filmography reflects, for me, the fascinating characteristics of mainstream French cinema from the 1950s until the 1980s. Even in their complacency, they leak a phenomenal understanding of cinema uniqueness, featuring extensive visual storytelling, magnetic lead performances, slick editing, and technical mischievousness. It's enough to make anyone at least a brief Francophile. Verneuil might not even be considered an auteur as such. He is a very considerate filmmaker, employing the unique traits of cinema to communicate his film's plots. Although an artful marksman, he remains a hired gun. Verneuil kept up with the noticeable trends, first in the 50s with Renoir or Becker-esque comedies about French high society, to films about the disappointments of burgeoning masculinity in the 60s, to elaborate set-piece heavy crime thrillers the following decade. He had no aesthetic watermarks, although his attempts at quality control as far as technical filmmaking is concerned are certainly worth praise. If this film was re-released today, I truly believe it would be extremely controversial for its candid, even outright comedic, portrayal of alcoholism as a playful, humorous device. I have to admit, I found this somewhat troubling. Then, as of this recording, I'm not a big consumer of alcohol whatsoever. I prefer other vices, for better or worse. I mean, films like this are evidence in and of themselves what enormous a role alcohol played in male cultures across centuries. Alcohol is portrayed as an embrace of earnestness, a reward for a temporary resilience, and an excuse for bonding. Then again, I can imagine, again only imagine, that this film, if viewed whilst drunk, might make for a depressing experience. It might not be quite Days of Wine and Roses or Leaving Las Vegas, but it does, however, firmly treat the habit like an unfortunate addiction rather than a lively treat. So my verdict on The Monkey in Winter is overall rather positive. I love the film's direction and aesthetic in general. It is bouncy, full of energy, and eager to show off visual storytelling in equal measure with character monologues and their intoxicated prancing. I thought it to be amusing to launch French cinema, and especially that of the rebellious revolutionary 1960s, for this program, with something so sweating of tradition and formula, albeit with ideas, charisma, and energy. Much like Jean Gabin in this picture. Thank you and good night.